Goalkeeper still looking a little shaky or very shaky on those crosses from corners, which can't continue because that anxiety builds. I've said it before. And then in central midfield, I think United have to do a piece of business now, because I would have liked to have thought that Mainu could step up and be that person, but it's quite clear that at this moment in time, Ruben Amorim's not having him. I mean, he starts with Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes. He then puts Mason Mount back in there, and then he brings Ugarte on in front of him, which tells you he's almost like fourth choice, really. And that means that they are going to need to, I think, get something sorted, because it's going to be a problem. The two in there, really does get exposed when that front three are just a little bit more higher, and that back five sometimes get pushed back a bit. Those gaps, those acres of space seem to open up, and I thought United got cut through quite a few times in there in the second half, and I think Bruno Fernandes is part of that in there, and he's going to have to sort it out.
So last week, Gary Neville said that Manchester United need to sign a goalkeeper. Yesterday, he says they need to sign a midfielder. Mark, given the money spent already in this window, is it possible for United to go after a midfielder?
Manchester United have spent over £200 million so far in this summer, which is quite significant when Sir Jim Radcliffe spent most of last season trying to shave costs, make staff redundant, try and make the operation a lot more streamlined, because there was a lot of staff there, so they're trying to be creative and clever with what they do, but they have spent significantly in revitalising that front three, new faces at the top end of the pitch. But now it's funny, Gary Neville saying last week need to sign a goalkeeper, now he's saying I need to sign a midfielder. It feels like they're the two areas of concern for Manchester United. Goalkeeper, a six, someone who can bring energy and legs to that United midfield, which is going to be key. They have to be conscious of PSR, Manchester United, despite being one of those sides that turn over significant sums of money. They still have to respect the rules, and there has been a lot of spending there. Outgoings are going to be key between now and Monday, depending on how much they can generate there. But you'd imagine they will still be in the market to sign players, but they're going to have to be creative financially. Maybe a loan with an obligation might be something they look at. But yeah, definitely two positions of concern for Ruben Amorim. And
Carlos Baleba feels like a slightly too expensive deal to do for Manchester United. He was taken off at half-time in Brighton's game against Everton yesterday, but Fabian Hertzler said it was tactical, nothing to do with injury, nothing to do with any speculation around Manchester United. Kevin, another player who's emerged, Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart. He's a player of interest. There's not been any club-to-club contact, but would that be a good fit when you know what United are looking for in a midfielder?
I don't think so, actually. I really like him. He's great passer of the ball, sets the tempo of a game, can control a game, but actually has a minder at Stuttgart in Atakan Karatsor. He does all the dirty work, he does all the challenges, and Stiller can just get on with it and set the tempo. Him alongside Bruno Fernandes, I don't think is that right fit in midfield. The other thing as well is that financially, it's not a deal Stuttgart want to do. And they've dug their heels in with Nick Voltemade, not let him go to Bayern. They're not going to be bullied about this either. So it just financially, in terms of fit, it doesn't really feel like a deal I could see United doing at this stage. OK, we wait to see what they do in terms of midfielders. In terms of goalkeepers, Gary Neville clear that United need to sign one. Altay Bayındır starting in goal once again, despite the fact Andre Onana was fit, he was on the bench. Where do we stand in terms of United signing a goalkeeper in this window?
Well, the player that they're targeting, Lammens, was not involved in the Royal Antwerp squad this weekend. It was their decision to remove the goalkeeper because of speculation surrounding his future. Talks continue with Manchester United over a deal for the 23-year-old. The deal on the table looks to be around £17.3 million. So again, more investment from Manchester United. What's currently being discussed at the moment is the structure of the finance and the payment terms. So you'd imagine this one is going to progress over the course of this week. Then Manchester United get a new goalkeeper. Then they've got the question about what do they do with Andre Onana moving forward. Does he want to sit on the bench for the next 6 to 12 months? So, yeah, big questions about what happens next at Manchester United. But one of the positions that Gary Neville has cried out for, they're going to get a really talented young international goalkeeper, potentially, that could come in and improve Manchester United's goalkeeping department.
Mark says he's a talented young goalkeeper. Is he good enough, or ready enough, to come in and be United's number one?
I think there are question marks coming into that kind of environment, because he's very calm, the mentality is good. Spoken to goalkeeping coaches about him, and he's been seen as a rising star in Belgian football for quite a while, but he was at Club Brugge and he couldn't get past Simon Mignolet, who's been excellent for Club Brugge, a former Liverpool goalkeeper. So he went to Antwerp. If you look at his numbers last season, they were excellent. If you look at something called post-shot XG differential, it's basically how many shots is he saving that the data wouldn't expect him to save. And it was very, very high. Antwerp had one of the best defensive records in Belgium last season. So all of that stuff's great. But it's a huge leap to then suddenly be the number one at Manchester United. But one really interesting thing, when Ruben Amorim was at Sporting were very interested in Lammens then and were tracking him then. So there's obviously a like there that's been there for quite some time.
Just educate me on this Monday morning. Post-shot XG.
So basically, you have a plus or a post-shot XG differential. It's basically how many shots or how many goals are going in that the data either expects it to or not. So if you've got plus 14.5, which he had, basically the club could have conceded 14 more goals if he wasn't in goal, effectively.
Done deals. Every official completed transfer around Europe today. The 2025 summer transfer window will officially close in just 8 days' time, and clubs are now scrambling to finalize their business before the end of deadline day. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United and Manchester City are the 5 clubs with the biggest transfer expenditures so far this summer, while Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid are the only non-Premier League teams in the top 10. Exuberant spending is set to continue over the next few days, with clubs across world football eager to sign reinforcements before the window closes until January. Big money deals are expected to be completed every single day during the final week of the window, with Alexander Isak, Alejandro Garnacho, and Rasmus Hojlund among the stars linked with high-profile transfers. As mentioned, Isak is expected to be a major player during the final week of the transfer window, as Liverpool look to complete a club record deal for the one-away Newcastle United striker. Meanwhile, Man United could be set to sell Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Hojlund before the end of deadline day, with the former on the verge of joining Chelsea and the latter wanted by Napoli following an injury to Romelu Lukaku. In addition, Xavi Simons, Mark Guehi, Dusan Vlahovic and Savinho could all move clubs amid significant interest in their services. Transfer news. Every official deal completed today below. Football transfers lists every transfer completed in Europe's top 5 leagues so far today, August 25th. What Premier League transfers have been completed today? None so far. What La Liga transfers have been completed today? John Pacheco. Real Sociedad to Alaves loan Rafael Balza, Espanyol to Miranda's loan Clemens. Riedel. Darmstadt to Espanyol Euro 2M. What Serie A transfers have been completed today? Christian Asani. Inter to Torino loan, 1.5 million euros. Lorenzo Moretti. Cremonese to Virtus Entella loan Roberto Piccoli. Cagliari to Fiorentina Euro 25M. What Bundesliga transfers have been completed today?